Welcome to the podcast, the show where we explore the journeys of the inspiring individuals who have carved out their unique paths in life. I'm your host, Sukanya, and today I'm thrilled to take you on a walk through the charming market town of Kendal with someone who is not only a global selling author, but also a powerful advocate for change. Joining me today is Katy Murray, the brilliant mind behind the book Changemakers, A Woman's Guide to Stepping Up Without Burning Out. I first met Katy through our shared passion for anti-racist activism, both of us volunteering for Anti-Racist Cumbria. From there, I discovered so much more about Katy's incredible work as a coach, helping ambitious women leaders and change makers step into their power. I recently had the pleasure of attending Katy's CEO Supercharge Day here in Kendal. It was an eye-opening experience where Katy guided women business owners to step back from the daily grind, reconnect with their CEO mindset, and leave feeling fired up and focused. Today, as we stroll through Kendal, I'll be chatting with Katy about her journey, her work, and what drives her to help women thrive without burning out. So, lace up your walking shoes and join us on this inspiring walk you won't want to miss. Hi, Katy.
Hello, let's walk.
Let's walk. Kent River, not lake.
Lake of Kent.
The Lake of Kent. It's nice to do a city
Kendal.
walk. Well, downtown Cumbria.
Streets of Kendal.
Yeah. Yeah. So how's it going?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay committed to my sunglasses for as long as possible.
I feel like I need sunglasses. I feel like it's one of those days where it's not directly sunny, but I feel like I'm squinting a bit. So I'm impressed that you've got your sunglasses on.
You could get sunburn actually in this weather, couldn't you?
I would be wearing SPF this morning if I'd considered that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put 50 plus face cream every day now.
I feel like, why don't moisturisers just include SPF as standard?
Yeah.
Because the advice is basically to wear it every day, isn't it? Even in our dull weather days.
We've got our Supercharge Day next week.
Can't wait for that, my love.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I was digging out my answers from last time.
Oh, yeah, what did it reveal?
I've got it set up so I can refocus myself before Friday.
Yeah.
But I thought the exercises were great because it's not often we sit down and just think through very specific things.
Yeah, I feel like my whole life, my job has been helping other people to have reflection time.
Yeah.
Actually, when I think about that.
Yeah.
Let's get on over. Space to step back, not be in the thick of stuff, working on something rather than in something. I often think about that distinction.
Yeah.
So and like seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Getting some different perspective, joining things up differently.
So when you say in something, what do you mean?
So like that retreat day that we're going to have next week, rather than working in our business, like doing the stuff with our clients or whatever the day job is, we're taking a step back to think about the business as a whole and work on the business. So it's like, what do we need to tweak or change up, or what's going really well and do we need to do more? Those kinds of more reflective questions that help you see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Like we're not doing the kind of day job stuff. We're doing a bit of an elevation, like a step back and step up.
Yeah.
To see things a bit differently.
Yeah.
And the value that adds, isn't it? Like you feel like you've had a new perspective, and then that can give more energy, momentum, focus, clarity, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
That then helps with doing the day job part.
Yes, it does. It's definitely set some priorities for me.
Yeah.
And I like the softer side of it as well, in terms of reflecting on my characteristics and the things that I want to get better at, and the key themes that came up through the questions.
Yes.
So mine was very much around consistency and focus and discipline.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because these are things that I practice every day anyway. Yes. But it was really good that they came out because it sort of reinforced that I was on the right track.
And it's based on my belief that you know the answers, like your own inner wisdom knows what is best for you.
Yeah.
I really believe that. Like, after now, I don't know, many years of being in the world.
Yeah.
I actually really believe that I don't need to tell anyone what to think about anything. Like, they can. So my job is to help people listen in and tune in to what the wisdom is saying. And sometimes to do some sense making together, like you can say, oh, here are the themes and here's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But I don't know what's right for your business. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I mean, some business coaches do that. And I just think, no, that's a different thing. And those things are good, but that's not what I think I can do in those spaces. Yeah. I feel like we're going to get the road ahead closed here. Let's maybe cross.
Is this all also... Is it all part of the flood warning?
Maybe there's some flood protection.
Yeah, flood protection.
Let's loop around another way.
Yeah, sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, so working on, in what were we saying?
Yeah, we were saying some business coaches work on providing advice on the actual business.
Oh yeah, so just my belief there that you know what is there for you, and so how do we connect with our body? How do we connect with our own wisdom that's inside ourselves, and that is in our physical body. Thank you. It's also in our kind of felt sense in the moment. It's in our sense of our spiritual lives. It's in our sense of our emotional life. Like, all of that complex of who you are all has data for you, doesn't it? You don't need to look outside of yourself for
but it's knowing
wisdom.
How to tap into it. And that's what I think you're really good at, is giving us the tools to explore that.
And just a bit of space to do that, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
I think as women, I don't know about you, I'm really interested in what you think about this. I think, and this is certainly true for me and most women that I work with now, we're kind of trained to look outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
For guidance, whether that's a partner or at school, our teachers. When you say been to uni, like, things like search for wisdom, gain knowledge.
Yeah.
And we're not really taught how to be with ourselves and how to connect with our own bodies, how to connect with that data in our own. I feel like that's a whole new unlearning and relearning to do later in life. I don't know. Was it similar for you?
Was it similar for me? I think my observation is we seek a lot of validation.
Yeah.
Maybe. So in that quest for knowledge and learning, we're actually looking for someone to tell us what path to take and how to do it. And I think that's why I like what you do, because you're kind of saying, this is your journey, this is your thing. The gift is within you to work it out and do what's right for you.
And as you say that back to me, I also think about the value of being in collective. So being with others, like even having one other person there to witness that, to hold up the mirror, to hear you say something out loud, to hold space for you to say how you feel, to be witnessed by somebody else, or to be together, whether that's, marching and protesting or sharing a sense of solidarity around something. It's about our own kind of personal journey, and
but I think having that
also
support,
about
that team.
Who else is around you, where's your cheerleading, not people telling you what to do, but people who believe in you and will genuinely support you, because again, I think as women we're taught to compete and compare
and not shine our own light,
right? There's all of that going on, and so I think there's something else about the spaces that I love to host and convene, which is like, we can be big in this space, and I'm not threatened by that, and I'm not threatened by your brilliance, and let's notice when our comparisonitis is triggered, and let's, again, learn how to care for ourselves with that, and then be in a space where we can genuinely celebrate each other. Yeah,
so are you sort of implying a bit of jealousy might rise up, and you might have to catch that and think about that.
I think that's it's really common for me, and I think it's really common with a lot of women that I talk to, friends and people that I work with, where it's like, you see something in somebody else, and we take it as a judgment in some way on ourselves. That
you're not doing enough, or you should be doing this better.
It taps into the toxic productivity in our culture. It taps into consumerism and capitalism, like all those isms and archies that tell us we need to essentially be, compliant and consuming.
So one of the things
something else I was going to say.
Oh, sorry, go.
No, it's fine. I've also sort of lost a thread, but I really wanted to pull, which I really wanted to share. It'll come back to me. Say what you wanted to say.
Well, I was going to say, whilst it's great, having
whiteness. Let's come back to whiteness. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Having that space for a cheerleading team and people who support you. I think what I found with the groups is you learn a lot as well, because you'll hear someone's journey and you'll think, oh, actually, that's quite a good thing for me to think about.
Good. Yeah.
And you sort of take little gems like that and start incorporating those words and those practices in your day-to-day life.
And what I would say there is, certainly lots of groups I go to are not like this, and there's loads of value in them. The groups that I run, I'm really big on we're not going to fix each other and we're not going to tell each other what to do. So it's not that you come into a group and people will all be the committee.
Yes.
It's just like, I love what you said there. It's like, but you're going to hear different experiences, different words, different ways of saying something, and that will ping lots of great ideas for you. So it's that lovely synergy of other people. Yeah. Not that they're the people that will then tell you how to live and be.
Yeah. And it is interesting as well when you're in the group to see what gives people energy. Yes. So for me personally, as you know, I'm quite private about what I do with my business, or, if I'm busy, if I'm not busy. I don't really advertise either way. Yeah. I just get on with it and deal with it, manage it. And that's not to say I'm not seeking support, and because I do have support, but it's more that it's just how I operate, because I'm so insular in that way. Yeah. I've always been very keen to do it my way. Yes. And I'm always very keen not to allow other influences in, because if I do something based on someone else's input and it doesn't go the way I want it to, I want to be able to hold myself accountable. Yeah. So I'm happy to source information to help me make decisions, but I don't want to pin that decision on someone else.
You're not giving your power away in that sense. I experience you as very high in personal agency. Like I experience you as someone who is decisive and is clear about what you want, and then is clear about where someone else can support, but it's not. Yeah, I don't experience you kind of giving away power to me in how we relate, and I'm seeing you relate to other people, which is interesting, because some people really do, or try to. Like, it's like, what do you think? It's like, well,
or try and put. So if someone else is successful, which is great, and that's there's everyone's different in the way they celebrate their success, but sometimes you get people giving you unsolicited advice because of their success, and that's quite a difficult thing to navigate without being offensive.
How do you deal with that then?
Well, because it's coming from a good place, don't you? And you know that it's not kind of saying I know better than you. It's kind of saying I've done this and I've done it well and I've been successful. So it's also having the conversation with myself to say, well, there's nothing wrong with what's
I can learn from that person.
It's not that there's any harm in it. It's more that I think I would never do that. And so because I would never do that and assume that someone else is interested in my journey, I always find it really surprising when someone offers their journey to me. Because I'm like, but then that's that person's way of celebrating their success, which is a way that I just don't do. So it's really interesting that I receive it in that way.
That is interesting.
What do you think about all that?
So I was going to name whiteness for me in that, which was just what was pinging earlier, and I think, and that maybe this is another whole tangent we could go down in terms of quite a big encompassing topic. I noticed the way that as a white woman I learn as a girl to compete and compare, like that thing I just named.
Oh, okay.
I think that's really part of how all the archies and isms reproduce themselves. All the like if you think about racism, sexism, misogyny, the patriarchy, all the ways that systems kind of oppress us and oppress people, and the way they're all interconnected. And whiteness and white supremacy as part of white supremacy culture as part of that. Like there's lots in there which is just conditioned in how we relate to each other as women.
Yeah.
And maybe people of all genders, it's all that part of that conditioning. So I feel like at this stage in my life, I'm just in a massive, like, stripping away, a big unlearning of all these things.
Right.
And noticing how much they show up.
And heightened awareness, I suppose, now that once you see things, you can't unsee them. And then you feel compelled to have to challenge it. I feel compelled to have to challenge it once I've seen it. So if it comes up in conversation, I will say, I'm not sure you should use that language, or have you considered doing it a different way, because actually this might be quite harmful to someone, and sort of do it that way. But that's interesting. So to that point, as a brown woman, I was raised to be compliant and to not cause a stir, to not draw attention. Maybe that's where it comes from, this whole keeping things private, to kind of do what you're told. And there's an element of people pleasing in there as well, a big element, which you then have to unlearn, because actually it's quite harmful and quite toxic, and can put you in harmful situations. And so in terms of the business world, it's a difficult space to navigate when your personal brain is conflicting with your business brain. And you've got opposite messages coming through, and you have to decide if by doing one you're morally doing something wrong.
And how do you unpick that? Like, how do you
very slowly
be in that tension? That's
it's taken a long time to understand that, you know, the certain things don't serve you well in certain environments, and actually it's okay to be not to be different versions of yourself, but it's okay to dial it down or dial it up depending on where you are, because you're not gonna progress. Otherwise you're just gonna you have to accept that if you've chosen a certain path and that requires you to be a certain way, or you're just going to be walked all over, you have to make that choice. And if you don't make that choice, you have to choose a different path. So, you know, a lot of who we are determines what we achieve as well, doesn't it?
And I was thinking about that in the context of what you said about speaking up and naming, like when you see the systems at play, that you name it. And I was thinking about how we gauge, like, our safety in that moment, and like you're saying, you're kind of gauging what's the impact on me if I do this or don't do this, or certain decisions or certain ways that you show up.
And I think sometimes from my experience, when I have called it out, people just don't see it, and so they're using phrases because that's what they've always done. But actually it's not serving them well either, because they're upholding a system that isn't supporting them, but they haven't really thought about that, or thought about that, you know, that formation of a sentence in terms of its detriment to you. And one of my most favourite quotes, oh, bless you. Oh, that was very silent for me.
I'm trying to say it really quietly.
That's the downside to walks and talks. Nature gets in the way. I wish we were videoing it, because that was so expertly done. The silence, please. So one of my most favourite quotes that I think Gandhi said, and has later been quoted by many people, and was recently on Dr. Chatterjee's podcast, and as you know, he's one of my heroes, is, you know, your let me get this right, your thoughts become your words, your words become your actions become your habits, and it goes on like that. And basically whatever it starts in your mind.
Should we cross, or should we loop back?
I think we'll turn back. It's a bit noisy on that side of the road. So it all starts and stops with us, and how we choose to do things. and how we frame that in our minds.
I 100% agree. And I'm also noticing how the contrast between what I said earlier about I trust that people know the wisdom that's inside them and I don't need to tell them anything, with actually what I've just said and what you've just said, which I also agree with, which is I will also show people what I'm seeing, which may not be what they're seeing.
Yeah.
And that idea of actually there are systems and ways that we're conditioned that we won't necessarily find. I don't know, do I believe that? Yeah, we may not, find that by listening into our inner wisdom. Like actually sometimes we need someone to tell us and show us, speak about it and show us how that is impacting you or other people, or how your behaviour is impacting other people. So I'm just noticing, I'm like, oh, there's a contradiction potentially there, because actually I am also doing a lot of naming and saying this is what I'm seeing, but also saying I don't see it all because I have massive blind spots and bias in myself. So what are you seeing? And please give me that feedback and show me, and like let's have that as a mutual conversation as well. I'm noticing actually, yes, there's that bit of who I am and my work, which is like non-directive and inviting you to find your wisdom, and then there's that bit of me which is actually really directive, which is about it's a much more confrontational stance of and I hope I do it kindly and maybe quite softly, but it's not a passive. The other place's position isn't passive either, but it's a much more tell kind of stance than an ask kind of stance, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So I'm just noticing that in our conversation. It's like, oh, there's kind of both and there.
Yeah.
And as I've got older and bolder...
Oh, I like that. I'm going to be older and bolder as well.
I would say, to what you've just talked about when you do speak up and speak out about things, and you're gauging the extent to which you want to or can do that. Yeah. But I know as I've got older that I can take more risks with that. Actually I'm not actually at risk in perhaps in situations in the past I thought I was. Yeah. And again, there's some of my privilege there, which is like I actually can. I'm very, very rarely unsafe. I may be uncomfortable, but that's not the same thing. And so as I've got older, I've got much more comfortable with that, and I want to keep getting more comfortable with that, and that feels good.
That's good. That's a good sort of place in your journey to have arrived at so far.
Yeah, it's always ongoing, isn't it? But that actually does feel like I care a lot less about a lot of things. Yeah. And then I care a lot more about a few things. Yeah. Again, at this stage of life, it's like a lot of stuff I don't care about anymore. What other people think about me is quite...
Yeah, and that's exhausting, isn't it?
Lower on the priority list.
Is exhausting because it doesn't serve us well at all, I don't think.
Which connects to the business chat we're having, because I think there's also a brand there. There's like, what do people know you for? What do you speak about? How do you come across? What do they know that you care about? And I guess in the past, and probably still do, there's lots of things I would keep quite hidden in social media spaces or in more public spaces. Whereas now I feel in the last couple of years, like actually I'm going to speak about the things that I care about, and it does have an impact. There is a ripple effect, probably positively and negatively from that. Yeah. But I don't care. It's like, well, it's fine. I can live with that. Yeah. That's not something I need to be...
Let's just wait for this.
Yeah, sure. Can even go up here if you want.
Yeah, okay. So how did you get into this work? Because it's quite niche, isn't it? It's not your mainstream kind of career choice.
Weird niche person, you.
No, not at all. I think it's fascinating because it's so impactful.
Yeah, I always had group work as part of my job, like from really early doors jobs. I always had like, here's a group session on something. Can you go and be part of it? Or can you hold the flip charts? Or I just was always involved in group facilitation, and I just kind of learned being in the room with people and what to do and how to do it from watching loads of other people doing it and helping out like really early in my like late teens onwards. So that's always been there. And then, so I think that's where the sort of coaching and like supporting groups stuff comes from. Yeah. I got a chance to do lots of that really early on and really enjoyed it. And then it just sort of built up there in terms of it then becoming my actual business.
And what was it about the group work that really energized you? And
Yeah, I'm not sure I can answer that for when I was a lot younger, but I'll just share a story from 2 weeks ago, which is I had a month of, obviously lots has gone online and lots I still do online and also in person, so it's a bit of a mix. I had a full month of everything being online, and it was great. It was a really full month with loads of fun clients. It was all good things. But by the end of those 4 weeks, I was like, I have to see some actual people in a room. And then the next week, I was with a group in a room, and I was like the facilitator with the most energy, power. Like, come in, welcome
people.
Here we are. It's people. Here's the flip charts. Here's the cartoons. Here's the creative things. Here's all the colours. It was like, and I could see they were like, oh my gosh, who is this person? This is so intense. And at the end of the day, I was like, stay. Let's go for coffee. Let's stay in touch. No, you
talk to me.
Out, back off. But that gave me a lot of data. It's like, oh, I really love the being in the room and making that, letting the magic happen in that space, and just doing the cartoons on the flip charts. I was like, oh, I need some in-person time. So there is something definitely really energizing for me about that process. Yeah,
you can see it in your face. Your whole face just lit up.
I was just laughing at myself too, because it's like, oh, this is so obvious, isn't it? And online is brilliant because I can be at home and I can see my family. And May was beautiful in the Lake District. It's basically summer, isn't it? For about 3 weeks. So it's like
done,
go and swim and play and do all the fun things. And I wasn't traveling. It was great to be home. But it's just a balance, because I was like, I need to see actual people and not just through a screen.
That's really interesting, because a lot of my work is now 100% remote. I run all my
How do you find that?
Online, and it's fine.
I
think I really embrace my introverted side, and I am quite introverted a lot of the time, as much as I am extroverted as well. And I think it's taken me a long time to embrace both sides of me.
Accepting the mix, isn't it? I'm way more introverted than I thought I was.
Isn't that interesting?
And COVID definitely taught me that. And actually for all my family, we all just adjusted much more to our own space, and
I really
as we all maybe did in some way, different ways. But so I think it is the balance, because some weeks when I'm doing back-to-back groups and traveling loads, I am exhausted. It's like there's too much outward energy. I need some of that inward replenishing time. So I think you're absolutely right. It's that mix, isn't it?
I sort of call it my lockdown weekends now, because I know that I need to not see people, and actually I really enjoy it.
The energy battery.
I've got so many things I'm interested in. I like to just focus in on those things.
We could go round that way.
Oh, okay.
Back onto the path.
So you were saying about your path then. So you did the group work, and so did you get qualifications? Did you do like a specific degree?
I later on did coaching qualifications and a master's and that sort of stuff. Which covered. So I did training in organisational development, which is like leadership development and change and organisational psychology and all of that stuff. So like group dynamics, and I just really loved all of that. And then it was in the context of working with social justice organisations. It was like, how does that then play out with a global organisation? What's happening at different team levels and different leadership levels? And that was all good fun. And then I set up my own business when I moved up here to the Lake District.
Exciting, scary.
I mean, I just had a little baby, so I just had my second baby, so I was kind of in that really bizarre zone of not really knowing what my name was or what the time of day was, and it was all a bit vague. So moving as part of that was like, we'll move house, we'll move vacation, I'll give up my job, we'll do something, exactly, start something completely new. And then I just built it up really gradually as the kids, as they, in a sense, could do a little bit more away from me, I was doing a bit more away from them, and that was just built up really slowly and steadily while they got bigger.
And the rest is history.
Maybe.
And you've published your book?
So that was 2022.
Okay. So it was
commissioned. So I was commissioned the year. Oh my goodness! Like COVID time is really collapsible, isn't it? I don't really know what happened to time and space over those years. So I was commissioned. I had 6 months to write it, basically.
Oh, okay.
And I think that was in
And how did that process?
April 21 maybe, and then I had to hand it in November, and then it gets created and paginated 21. And designed and blah blah.
So
and then it's released a year later.
Did someone approach you about
Yeah, so everyone has different journeys with books, lots of different loads, which people don't talk about today. So how does that work? And I've now talked to loads of people who've published, and it's so varied how it works.
Yeah.
I did during COVID, during lockdown, I did a proposal challenge, which is it was like a week to every day you had these little prompts to create a book proposal, which I just thought I would do in lockdown when there was a bit of space.
Yeah.
And it was a brilliant process because you had to just do all the thinking to kind of get your ideas together and put this whole thing together. And it meant that at the end of the 2 weeks or whatever it was, you kind of had this document as a starter.
Yeah.
And then then summer of 2020 happened and everything, lots of other things kicked off. So I sort of parked that.
Yeah.
But then I got an email a bit later in the year or in a year's time or whenever again, time and space, who knows when.
Yeah.
From a commissioning editor going, do you have any ideas? And I was like, actually.
Oh.
I actually do. It's my idea.
Awesome.
So then she and I worked together really closely on writing that as a proposal for her publishing house. Mm-hmm. And the way it works is they have an internal system where they have to pitch their ideas, and then if they get commissioned, then they can commission the authors. Mm-hmm. So that was going on for a couple of months, back and forth. Yeah,
amazing.
So that's how it worked for me, and then it meant I had a really clear structure for writing it. So there was a very clear deadline and a very clear timetable, which helped because then you just had to crack on and do it rather than. I think if I had years and years and years to do it, I wouldn't. Yeah. So it worked for me to have a really tight kind of focus
time. Yeah.
But massive creative project. I mean, I'd never done anything as big as that in terms of just one big thing you're working on. You just have to take tiny little bites out of it over lots and lots of days.
Yeah.
So that lots
takes
of learning.
A lot of discipline, doesn't it?
Lots of learning to do it.
To get yourself to sit down and do the writing part. Well, the structure part, then the writing part, then the cleansing part.
Yeah, the editing was hard. Yeah. I remember in my memory, I remember enjoying the writing, and lots of it was hard. But I do also remember sitting in cafes and having a few hours at a time, or sitting outside and having a few hours at a time. Or
do you find
I went to a few different places. Yeah, physically going out away from my desk. Yeah, 100% helps.
Isn't that interesting? Because when I do things, I have to. Everything has to be the same.
Okay.
Nothing changes.
Okay.
Same soundtrack, same routine, same.
Because that will be clicking into your brain to say, here's the space for focused work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That whole routine builds me up to sitting at my desk.
I totally
nothing
get that.
changes.
I get that. I think I did use that a lot, actually, that process of just, here I am, it's time to get, your brain going, okay, go. And then if I was hitting walls or slumps, it was just hard. Yeah. Breaking the environment really helps me. So like going for a walk or having a chat with someone like you, or going to sit in a cafe, or just going to a library, or going to sit outside or somewhere else, just frees up somehow some creative juices. So that I think I probably use both of those sort of approaches to.
I think I've got better as I've got older to not punish myself.
Yeah.
So I used to force myself to sit in that space because that's what other people could do.
Yeah, that
and now I've sort of understood
that
I'm not other people.
Yeah.
And I don't work like that. And actually, if I need to watch a movie for an hour, then that's what I need to do.
Or go to the gym, or go make a salad, or go run up the stairs. Or,
always food, Katy. Always.
I can't believe I just said make a salad, because I'm like, I never ever go and make a salad. Like, who goes and makes a salad?
But I like
make
that.
Make a delicious snack. Like, make some amazing skinny sandwich or something. Like,
it was a good choice. It kind of portrays us as quite virtuous and health conscious. I'm sticking with the make a salad.
I love that I said that out loud. Okay, live confession. I'm never making a salad
as
when
a snack.
I need a little boost.
I love you said that as well. We're selling good ideology right now.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, let's do it. It's out there.
But yeah, once I break it, once I break that thought pattern and I get back to it, I just smash it. And
yeah, the focus.
Way
and that's
better.
about flow, isn't it? And accessing that lovely sort of headspace of focus and absorption. And it feels so good, doesn't it, when you get there? I don't think I get there every day, but it is a lovely place to get to.
So one of the things you talk about or talked about at your CEO Recharge Day was about being in seasons. So do you want to explain that a bit?
Yeah, so this, I mean, lots of people have written about this and thought about this over, I'm sure, millennia. So it's really just me catching up with all this beautiful wisdom of the ancients. This idea really, and in our modern culture, it's so countercultural that we can live more cyclically or seasonally rather than being always on and always expected to be in that kind of productive, fruitful, doing mode, which I think our culture is very much kind of driven by that kind of consumerist ideology, and it is sort of toxic productivity of just like go. And the idea of rest is such an anomaly to us, isn't it? And it's so hard to... I have a friend, and again, lots of people are writing about this now, a friend who challenged me the other day, like, what does it mean to be a well-rested woman? Like, what does a well-rested woman look like? And it really challenged me. It's like, I don't really know anyone.
No.
Like, I could name a few people who I think are really
good at
attempting to go that way. Anyway, so that's, part of our cultural, what we're living in. So the idea of seasons is just how can we connect with literally the seasons that are in nature around us, that also aware that our cycles, our body cycles, our monthly cycles as women, and also our kind of project cycles may be really different to what the season is at in the weather, if you like. But so how do we layer that? So for example, in my menstrual cycle, I'm currently in winter, so I'm on my bleed. So that's like slower. I probably need to be on the sofa. I definitely need to not be driving heavy machinery. Like spatial awareness is really reduced. It's not great anyway, but it's really reduced. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's really good that you're calling that out, because a lot of people don't understand how connected it all is.
It's all
and
connected.
It does affect how you are productive, and
it's all connected.
There are some impossible standards put upon women.
So in my winter, I find I actually can do really good absorbed. I can do flow. I can go to that really absorbed place, and I can be quite creative. But it's very inward. The energy's really inward. So ideally, I don't want to be doing the high flip charts room. That's summer. That's really summer on energy that I described before. And it probably was 2 weeks ago when I was ovulating. So it's like, yay, summer, here we go. So there's the monthly cycle. And then I'll come out of winter in a couple of days, and it will be spring. And spring is about ideation and newness and freshness. And there is that kind of spring, and you step the new energy of like, oh, okay, a bit more physical, but also kind of mental clarity even as well. And then summer is that kind of outward on energy, and then autumn is kind of delivery, completion, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, finishing off stuff, detail, before we go back into winter. And our culture wants us to be in kind of, ideation into delivery mode. Doesn't really give us a lot of time or honouring really of those different spaces and what I talk about the gifts of each season. So, if I don't honour the winter, which is about rest and refreshment and evaluation and tapping into deeper wisdom and letting go, maybe some death, maybe some, releasing, some grief, some lament before we then go into, right, off we go again. If I don't honour that part of my process, even if it's 5 minutes in an hour or a day, a month, or whatever it might be time-wise, what do we miss if we're not giving attention to that and honouring that?
It's really interesting, because as you're saying that, I'm sort of reflecting on my sort of cycles, if you like, in terms of my professional work. And I feel like I have naturally been following a cycle without realising it.
Great.
And when I come to the end of a project, I do take some downtime and I do kind of slow down.
It's like recovery, isn't it?
Because it is very intensive, and I do step back from everything and go into recluse mode and think about what I didn't enjoy and think about how I might do something different going forward. And then when I'm ready, I kind of step back out again and go forward. But I didn't consciously know that I was doing it. I was doing it because I felt it felt like I needed to do it. So that's
going back to what we said right at the beginning of our chat, isn't it, about tapping into that energy in our body, in our inner wisdom. Like when we actually can connect with that, it sounds like you're doing really well. There's not a judgment about how well we do it, but it's like, oh, actually, I'm really feeling the need to slow down and rest and recover. That is built in, right? That's built into nature. If we look around, we're recording this in summer, it's beautiful, kind of full bloom, everything's out. But we know, living where we do, that autumn, winter and spring look really different, right? There's just such a different energy of each of those seasons, and we're all connected. We're all part of this whole ecosystem, aren't we? So,
and do you think it's more apparent to people who not necessarily are naturally tuned into themselves, but who have got that mental space and quietness to be able to tap into that and recognize those cycles? Because I feel like there are so many people juggling so many things under so much pressure that you might not even understand everything or feel like one big...
it's just a huge overwhelm, a huge big pot. I think you need even a little window to start to reflect, to start to see the patterns, to start to feel and connect with your body, your energy, and that just takes a little bit of wriggle room, a little bit of window, doesn't it, to even have the conversation about it.
To bring it to your consciousness.
Absolutely. And I know for me, in times when I've been super overwhelmed, overstretched, too much going on, but when the kids were younger and I was working, I was traveling a lot, different periods of my career I was away a lot, my partner was single parenting, money was really stretched, like just a lot of things were really under pressure, that actually, if someone had said to me, oh, Katie, just take a little bit more time for winter, like I'm like, you just
what are you talking about?
That doesn't feel so compassionate, but I think I'm aware at this stage of my life when the kids are bigger, and there's just a lot that's different in different stages. But I also want to say I do think there's massive value to the seasonal awareness, however kind of busy in bunny ears or kind of overwhelmed you're feeling. And a lot of the coaching work I do one-to-one is supporting women to just find some kind of different balance and rhythm.
I feel like I could probably step back and look at the last 4 decades of my life in a season. And attribute each decade to a season. Yeah, that's there too, like the stage of life thing. So go on. Do you want to say more about that?
Well,
I just feel like this, like now I'm 45. Which I'm very happy about, because I was like, I've made it halfway to 90. Quite excited about that. But this 40s is definitely my summer. And I think, I don't know if this will resonate with a lot of people, but I think that my 20s was, I experienced a very devastating grief, which actually shaped the next 2 decades, or will shape the rest of me. But in a good way, I think. Obviously, the loss was devastating, but I think it woke me up and made me make choices that I don't regret at all. Because I've lived a very, very happy, fulfilling life, and been very clear about my self-worth. And I think, I feel very lucky that I had that so early on. Whereas I know some people going through that journey now, and it's frightening and it's upsetting, and it's, you kind of, the worst thing I think you can have going forward is regret, because that's the one thing you can't do anything about. So that's why I'm such a big advocate of, don't worry about being embarrassed. If you feel something, say it. Say it and make people know that they are worthwhile in your life, that you celebrate them, that you love them. Don't be embarrassed. If they push back, that's on them. But you've done your bit, and you've lived authentically. Because you might not be here tomorrow, so don't waste your time. And it's joyful. It's empowering. I find it liberating to do that. And you do get some weird kind of, oh my God, what is she doing? And I'm like, you're great. Someone needs to tell you you're great. And what's wrong with that?
There's so much in what you said. I first of all, just love that whole, like the idea of like in a funeral in British culture, we tell them how much love. I mean, it's just devastating.
Exactly.
So when we feel something towards somebody, when we notice how brilliant they are, let's just say it. So much about that. I love what you're saying about the seasons of your life and how you can see like I always say, all models are wrong, some are useful. So this is like, you know, this season thing is not going to be everything to explain everything, but it's one layer, isn't it, of like, oh yeah, there's different stages of my life where this energy was more prevalent and it was allowing me to move and grow in this way. And I also think that within those seasons, so you can see, oh, that was kind of my spring, or that was a devastating winter, and then I was coming out of that, and here I am in summer. Which is really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that story.
Oh, you're welcome.
And within that as well, you will have like mini little cycles. So you'll, like you said, your project cycles, your work cycles, our monthly cycles, they will also kind of be circling within this kind of overall sense of where I am in life.
Love this sort of stuff.
Yeah, so it is, I think it's just a way, isn't it, of thinking and seeing, connecting these different things up together. I also wanted to share that I think the impact of grief and kind of where you said it woke me up. So my mum died really young for her and for me, and I'm aware of that. Like, obviously, there's usually kind of big impact of an event like that.
Of course.
That of course shapes so much of then what comes.
But
I also think there's something around when anybody in life, and we are all going to experience grief, aren't we, at different stages? But when we go through something quite big and transformational, depending on when it is in your life, it does kind of wake you up. It kind of grows you up is maybe not the right thing, but it just opens up a lot of... So I'm really resonating with what you're saying there about the assumption that we all will just live forever versus actually facing your own mortality and having those moments. It's like, wow, okay, life is so precious, so let me juice the joy out of each day. And that again, for me, with my upbringing, was really countercultural, because we live in a very sort of next thing, legacy, future oriented. So I've had to really learn about being really present and trying to be in the now, that this is what we have, this moment. And something just that was resonating for me as you shared.
I think that whole legacy conversation is interesting, because it's certainly for me, and I get it, I understand that as individuals, we want to know that once we're not here anymore, someone will remember us for something that we've achieved, or we've done, or we've impacted. And I think a lot of people, you know, when they have children, that's their legacy, which is great. And, you know, there's so much love that gets poured into those relationships. I just think sometimes I wonder if that blinds us to just being present and just embracing today. Because there's so much joy to be received from each day, and we maybe don't see it, and we maybe go to bed frustrated and, oh, I haven't achieved that thing.
Or actually, you know, it's the kind of regrets of the past, the worries of the future is the classic one, isn't it? Like, where's your head? Where's your head actually going? Versus what you're saying now, which is, okay, in this moment right now, so like I can feel the breeze on my face, I can hear different noises, but I can also have this lovely, there's a kind of fragrance on the air that I can connect to. I'm really enjoying this conversation with you. We're kind of deep in it, we're in flow. That's really enjoyable, isn't it? It's really juicy. And so that just the pleasure of all, like the warmth of a bit of sun trying to come through, like there's just so much to relish in this moment now, isn't it? Rather than I'm thinking about, is my kid okay because some stuff happened today, or is you know, is that going on tonight, or what's happening tomorrow, or we were talking about business stuff and like what's going to, you know, all those other things that our brain can be so busy with.
And who's going to remember me for what? Because I just, another quote that I really like is, and I can't remember who it's from, but it's basically saying people won't remember you for what you did, they'll remember you for how you make them feel. Who is it by?
Well, I want to say now Maya Angelou, but maybe it's Katy Murray. It's one of those amazing women anyway.
And I think that,
or Bell Hooks, or Lord, Lord.
They're all awesome.
One of those four is one of them.
But I think that's really important, because I think and you have interactions sometimes and you walk away thinking, I don't know if that person really thought about their reaction in terms of, actually I feel really crappy now and I need to address that with this person, but have they put the thought into their behaviour and its impact negatively? Because there's always a better way to convey a message and to say something, and we're all guilty of sort of flying off the handle and saying things in a less than ideal way. but it's what that leaves that person feeling is, and yourself feeling, because after you've had your big explosive moment, you're going to feel crappy as well.
It's like the kind of residue, isn't it, or the wake of that conversation.
The butterfly effect of that. Yeah, very interesting. So I'm going to do my homework for my CEO Recharge day, and I am working through your book as well. Although I've not read, I've not used it for a few months. Well, probably 6 weeks now. But I kind of got into the habit of doing a chapter or half a chapter every morning as part of my routine. And I love the format of it. I love that you've got the exercises and the reflection points, and I've got my little book that I'm writing down all my things. And it's one of these books I think you can go back to endlessly, because you're going to keep refreshing what you're thinking.
Yeah, it's designed to be very dip in and out, not necessarily read it from the back and then Although I realise people read books however they want to read them. As the author, you're like, are you reading it the way I expect you to? No, let go of that.
An instruction.
Everyone's going to read it however they want to read it.
Here's a podcast on how to read my book. I know what you mean, but I think like my style is very much to do the whole book and then mark out bits I want to go back to, especially for this sort of book.
Yeah, well, it's practical and tangible, and like you say, there'll be different things that maybe resonate differently depending on what's going on for you at the time and how you're doing at the time. I love to hear that. Thanks for sharing that. I love hearing how people are using it. So that makes me so...
And it's nice because there's no pressure to read the whole thing, because you know it's not going anywhere, and it's a toolkit, isn't it? Essentially, and it's needed, I think, certainly for me, because there's things in there that I think I would enact once I practice it more. The bit I'm not very good at is where you've got the exercises for meditating, and you sort of say read it through and then do it, and just because of my personality type, I'm like, I've lost interest.
I'll send you the audio versions, and obviously it's hard to do an audio in a book, but there are audio versions of all of those, and I
assume there would be.
I'm like you, I even though I'm in this, I do this stuff, I find it really hard to just kind of do that on my own. I like to have a voice to guide me, or some kind of process, because it just helps my brain to stay a bit more on track. So I can send you the audio version.
Thank you.
That's helpful.
That is helpful. So that's the bit I feel like I'm cheating on.
No, so it's just a preference, isn't it? And it's different ways that we all engage and connect and learn and stuff.
So what's next, Katy?
Ooh.
Are you holidaying?
Well, summer in like the calendar year is always winter in my business year. So just talking about the seasons that we've had. So over the years, I've always taken summer off to do childcare when the kids were small. Now they're bigger, they absolutely do not need me to be taking time off to be with them. They really don't want me around.
It's really hard.
However, I'm like, I like this rhythm. I'm still going to have that winter. So I really use it as I come out of social media. I do complete digital detox, and I just kind of come back to myself in all the good ways, like play and rest and sex and fun and pleasure and people and connections and just all the fun summer stuff, beers by the whatever, no alcohol beer, I'm off alcohol at the moment, so no alcohol beer in the summer. All the fun stuff is just a bit of focus. And what does it mean to rest, actually? Like, I'm kind of leaning into that bit. What does rest mean and look like and feel like? And what has it felt like in the past? Well, I think probably those things I've just said. So that those are probably quite high energy aspects of rest. Whereas I think, I don't know, I'm quite open to what this summer/winter will bring, because obviously it's summer in the calendar but winter in the business. I'm not sure what it'll bring. I'm sort of curious. It's quite nice that you're kind of leaving it open. You're not trying to control and dictate what that ought to look like. There's a few things like in the diary. So we love to go to festivals. I love to dance. So it's like a full let's go dancing. And that the dancing thing, actually we haven't really talked about, but you and I have been dancing together quite a lot, and there's something about that embodiment. I love it. It's just so life-giving for me, honestly. It's just all, I want to march, and I want to protest, and I want to dance, and then I want to retreat and write, and that's it. Oh, amazing. And maybe see the people I love, that's it.
That's great. But just to have that clarity.
Yeah, and I feel like as I'm, if I get to be an older woman, like I'm going to be an older lady who marches and dances and retreats. It's like, that's it.
Yeah, perfect.
I hope.
Yeah, that sounds cool, really
right?
great.
I want that.
Look at the smile on your face as you're saying it. It's so lovely.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's a bit of that's happening already, which is wonderful. So summer is dancing and being in my body and enjoying it and being with people that we love and.
I don't think I'm proven to not be a very good choreographed dancer. I'm much more free flowing.
Yeah, and the stuff that we've been to is a bit more feel it in your body and move as you wish to move, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what I've loved about those spaces is what I've experimented with and has been new for me is when we've been to some of the women-only spaces and when we've been into some of the sober spaces, it's just been so interesting. Like when you take out the pressure, there's some of those extra pressures that can happen. What happens when you're just in your own body and you're not feeling observed or looked at or anything else, you feel really safe, and that's been amazing just to experience that. And
I like that you said about the safeness, because until we did that women only sober thing, I hadn't realised that I've been on guard.
100% hyper vigilant. Where's my stuff? Is my body safe? Who's looking at me? What are their intentions? All of that, isn't it? We're so attuned to that in a space and we don't
do it consciously.
And then you're not fully relaxing because you're actually on hyper alert about your stuff and your body and you know. So,
and I like that you said about experimenting with these things, because if you hadn't invited me to that sober thing, I probably would never have gone to one.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't have been on my radar at all. And actually, I am the sort of person who doesn't need alcohol anyway to enjoy myself and to let go. I'm quite comfortable in myself to do that. But it was so nice the way it was done, and to just experience it. And also, like you said, to experiment with different offerings.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
So we know one of them was not really for me, but that's fine.
Yeah, and just give it a go.
Give it a go. At least I tried it and I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's homing that
Let's find some more dancing. We need to get some more in the diary.
Yeah,
it's good to have things ahead.
Yeah.
That you know is going to be.
Yeah, it's nice to have those milestones.
You know it's going to be fun, but maybe it's not that. You know you're going to experiment.
Yeah, exactly.
And it'll be what it is, and it's an experience.
Yeah, there's no expectation for it to be amazing. But the main thing is we're doing it. And we're out there. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So, any walks planned?
Any walks planned? My partner and I have a walking day once a month. That's
so
what
nice.
we aim to do every kind of month. We take a day off and do that together. And he's really good at sort of knowing where to go. I honestly just tend to just go with him and go, fine, that looks great, and I'll because he does running and he kind of knows where some walks are, so that works for me. I don't really go, I need to walk here. I'm happy just to go with someone else who has a plan. I think a lot of my life is quite structured and planned. It's quite nice to just go and walk where someone else has a plan. I find that quite relaxing. But I'm aware that he does most of the labour there, so perhaps there's some reciprocity needed with that one.
You should make a salad.
Yes, I could bring. Well, okay, you laugh, and this if my family does ever listen to this conversation, so they will take the mick because I always bring carrots.
Oh, do you?
I always bring peppers on my walk.
Oh, that's great.
Maybe even the odd sugar snap pea. Very portable
That's
snack.
really cool.
And they just take the mick on.
Do they?
They're like, "What are you doing? Carrying like ridiculously heavy items comparative to calorific actual value." When you're spending energy on a walk, like this is the most useless item that you could bring. Plus, it's really embarrassing to be sat with me halfway up a hill
eating a carrot.
Like, how embarrassing is that? Like, so anyway, that's a constant sort of
really funny
mockery in my family.
Maybe that's why the salad was at the forefront of your mind.
But even that's not a salad, isn't it?
No,
it's not. Like a vegetable.
That's so funny.
Oh my word!
I'm just teasing you.
It's fine. Bring it on.
I've got Ullswater Way.
Yeah. What are you? Tell me more about
that's with Anti-Racist Cumbria. Amazing. So we're doing. Is it? I think it's 20 miles. I think I might have, because I put the idea out there. I think I'm now organising it.
Amazing.
So I need to get some help from a few people to luckily we have people in the group who are qualified mountain leaders
skilled.
and stuff. Yeah, I'm just there for the photos.
Enthusiasm and photos. I'm bringing that.
And I do enjoy walking. I enjoy the long distance walking, and just being away from the cars and all of this stuff.
Gorgeous.
I like being near water, so that's always
and the
good.
Talk, isn't it? The talk and the chat while you walk is always good.
I love that we kind of go in and out of different conversations with different people.
Yeah, that's really good.
Such a joy.
It's really good.
Yeah, part of the walking process.
You asked me about have I got any walks planned, and I am thinking about so I'm 50 next year, and I'm thinking, do I want to do like a way, like you just I don't even know about the Ellsworth Way. I'll find out about that after this. But yeah, whether there's like a few days to do a bit of a longer thing where it's a bit more of a journey.
Like the Dales Way or the Cumbrian Way.
Yeah, I'll explore. I'll let you know where I'll go.
Oh,
but yeah, I'm up for something that's a bit more.
I'll do a leg with you.
Yeah, thank you. I think that'd be fun to do.
In a tutu and tiara.
And like you say, different conversations with different people, different times.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess a bit more physical challenge to do it day after day for a few days. I tend to have if I'm doing a walking day, the next day is just like a slump and Netflix
sofa day. Definitely. Especially if it's more than 10 miles.
The challenge of showing up the next day for the walk, I don't know, that would be a new thing, but that feels like a good stretch.
Yeah, that sounds ace. What a nice way to kick off your half decade.
Yeah, that'll be good.
I love that.
That'll be good.
Yeah, amazing. So in terms of podcasting, what are your key takeaways? Well, what are your key takeaways from podcasting? What do you enjoy about them? Like listening and taking part?
I listen to podcasts a lot.
Yeah.
I always speed them up. So if anyone is still listening to our meandering chat today, feel free. I hope you have been putting us on 1.5 or whatever you need.
That's
I know lots of people that can't do that because it's too fast.
Yeah.
But I find... Anyway, that's just me. I speed up yoga videos as well. Like I love yoga, but I can't do them. I can't do them at the speed. I do them at 1.5. Don't tell anyone that I do yoga with that I do that.
How funny!
Just
watch one
just
day.
Some days it's just a bit too slow. Like I love yoga and I love breath work. I love meditation. Yeah. I love taking time. I love being in winter. I love all those things.
Quick enough.
It just needs to be speedy. It just needs to be.
I'm going to have a go because I don't think I could do yoga at one point.
So, I mean, maybe it's a particularly slow yoga person.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I tend to speed up podcasts.
Yeah.
And it's when I'm travelling, when I'm on a train, when I'm walking through a new city, if I'm on my way to be with a group somewhere.
Yeah.
Or if I'm cooking tea at home, I'll have a podcast on. So I absolutely love the kind of chat in the background. I take my news that way. I never watch the news and I don't listen to the news.
Right.
But I listen to some podcasts that kind of summarise and do a bit of analysis of global events. So I love that way of just like staying in touch but not getting totally my nervous system completely over-tweaked with all the things going on. And then there's a few other podcasts that I enjoy, and then in terms of being on them, I love guesting on podcasts. I've done lots and I love
what do you love about
them? I think it's having a good chat, isn't it? I mean, we always have good chats, but then that idea of other people can be listening in.
Yeah, maybe a topic that they might not have.
Yeah, hopefully there's lots of connection points for people. And I'm always curious, like, what resonates? Like, here's a thing, well, what meant something to you? Or what felt important to you? What did you recognise? Or what was different? Or
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
What about you? What are you enjoying about doing the podcast?
Well, I've been talking about this podcast for 2 years or more. But I had to pause everything last year because my dad got sick. Yeah. And so I thought, right, I've literally got no excuses now, so I need to crack on. And I just like the idea of conversations. And part of my day job, a big part of my day job is actually, what I've realised is actually interviewing people.
Yeah.
I talk to a lot of people. I need to build trusting relationships quickly.
Yeah.
And I need to be able to extract information in a meaningful way. And I figured, well...
You basically are a podcast host.
Yeah. I felt like I've been podcasting my whole career.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, and you know...
I mean, that's loads of transferable skills, isn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely.
And also, I just like people. I think people are fascinating. And not everyone has the confidence to set... And I don't mean you, because you're a seasoned professional at this. But not everyone feels comfortable about talking about themselves, and not everyone understands how great they are. So I thought it'd be nice to shine a light on
chance to do that. Yeah, it's lovely.
A whole range of people, not just seasoned professionals, but also the people, you know what I mean? I don't mean to play you down, but the people who wouldn't necessarily do this sort of thing.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good.
So hopefully that brings out some people who are who don't see themselves in this space. That's a better way to put it.
I think for me too, there's something about audio that's really intimate. So I do watch a bit of video. I don't watch a lot of video content. I don't know. Maybe because I'm doing something else. It's maybe the multitasking thing. Yeah. And I know that doesn't really exist, and actually we can't focus on more than one thing at a time. But I do like having audio in the background if I'm doing something. And it feels really intimate. Like the people that I listen to regularly, you know, they've been in your ear and you feel like you know them, don't you? You know their voice and you know their intonation and the way they laugh. And there is a real intimacy there. Yeah. And also I think for me, not being on camera is really refreshing. I do quite a lot of stuff on camera, and it's really good to not be on camera and just to be a voice and not be thinking about, you know, how are we looking, or having, again, it's that being the gaze bit that we touched on when we talked about dancing, not having a sense of the gaze is really freeing in this conversation that we've not been thinking about angles and lighting and how our skin's looking and just all the things that we can all the things so which can become a bit
which is a real thing for me,
too much in
my mouth weird.
So I have a thing about my mouth, because I don't think my mouth is weird, but then I look at some pictures like it's really wonky, and so then you can just get in your head about that stuff.
You can get obsessed with these things.
So it's good to not be thinking about any of that. And so podcasting is just the fact it's audio. I think it's a lot, in some ways, a lot more fluent for me. Yeah, I was also freeing, maybe.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. I was kind of keen to also incorporate the walks, because I don't like being behind a desk. I find it really boring, and I find that it changes me. Yes. And it makes me much more stiff. Yeah. And I am much more active, and I do feel more myself when I'm walking.
And we know, don't we, from all the data, that when we walk, it kind of is freeing up different parts of our brain, so we're actually accessing different creativity and there's nature and there's a view and there's all the things that add that extra stimulation, and it's also more relaxing for our nervous systems because we're in movement, and it's all the good,
it's not
all the
too
good stuff.
Focused and
I do a lot of my one-on-one work walking. And I call them walk and talks.
I'm going to paint it
for those reasons.
I'm kidding, we'll share it. But that's another reason I like to. It's the people, and it's the active side of it. Yes. Because I do feel it, like you were saying, it does change the dynamic. It changes the conversation. Much less self-conscious. Yeah. And I'm a firm believer that we're all really very interesting.
Yes, there's lots of stories. And also when you're walking, you're not staring at each other. Like, we're not sitting, and we are looking at each other now and again, but we're also looking at our surroundings, and we're able to sort of be with what we want to say and be present with that, rather than, again, that for me sometimes is a bit of an intensity if you're kind of staring at somebody across a table. I find it a bit more freeing to be walking and facing the same direction, and there's something in that, isn't there?
Yeah, I quite like the whole relaxed tone of things. And that brings us to the end of our walk with Katy Murray around the beautiful market town of Kendal. Our conversation was rich with insights as Katy shared her wisdom on so many important topics, especially the concept of seasons and how we can apply these to different parts of our lives. By understanding these seasons, we can approach our activities with greater intention, knowing whether we ought to be pushing forward or whether to take a step back. We also had a good laugh when Katy mentioned her love of salads. Moments like these remind us that even in deep conversation, it's important to find joy and humour along the way. If you're interested in learning more from Katy, I highly recommend checking out her book, Changemakers, as well as signing up for her newsletters and workshops. We'll be sharing links on our social media platforms, so please be sure to follow along. A big thank you to Katy for sharing her journey with us today, and to all of you for tuning in. If you enjoyed our chat, Please share this episode with your friends and don't forget to engage with us on social media. We'd love to hear your thoughts and continue the conversation. Until next time, take care and keep exploring.